Hi everyone, this is Ravindu. Welcome to Skulls and Wheels Development Tutorials Part 1, and if you haven't watched the first part of the Skulls and Wheels Development Diary, you will see a card on the screen. You can go there and check it out what I am going to do here. So first of all, I am going to download the free cool 3D car model from Sketchfab to work on my prototype. So if you didn't know, Sketchfab is also acquired by Epic Games, who are the developer of Unreal Engine. As I mentioned in the Development Diary episode 1, Epic Games has a whole new ecosystem of their own, and this is the announcement of acquisition of Sketchfab by Epic Games. You can see Sketchfab has joined the Epic Games family in 2021. Therefore, here I am browsing a vehicle 3D model, and you can see there is a category called Explore and there is a category called Buy 3D models and for business. In Explore, you can see there is options called downloadable and cars and vehicle. And then in Buy 3D models, there is a cars and vehicles option. In Buy 3D model section, you can see up to $500, starting from $3, there are many 3D models. When you browse in Sketchfab, you can see there is a tick for PBR and you can filter out PBR 3D models which are compatible with Unreal Engine. Because Unreal Engine uses PBR shading system in their game engine. You can see these are premium models, so you can see the price and there are lots of cool 3D models. And yeah, I really love American muscles and those kind of cars, really. So I'm hoping to add some these kind of, yes, you can see there is American generic pickup. So these are the kind of vehicles that I'm hoping to add on my game. And I mentioned about the flat out game, and flat out game contains these kind of American type of vehicles. There's this Plymouth one, and it's $4. And let's see if there are any muscle type, American type vehicles. I really love this model. I'm going to buy this later for my game. And when I'm browsing, I found this awesome post-apocalyptic car. It's inspired by Mad Max. You can see enable XG textures in the bottom right corner. Old rusty post-apocalyptic car inspired the style of vehicles in the Mad Max universe with the blah 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 V8 engine. This is really cool. I want to have this kind of vehicles in my game. And you can see there is a gun, machine gun, and there is this engine without the front body parts. This is really cool, man. And love these chains. Love these chains on the wheels to increase the grip on this end. Wow. This is a really cool model, and it has also the, yeah, interior as well. This is really cool, but this is not a free one, and it's $9, and I can buy this little later after I have some progress in the game. Cool. This is really cool. Get 3D models for free. You have to go explore and downloadable section. Explore and downloadable sections. Okay, I have some new 3D scan models here, so I am going to blur it out. Okay, so there is this category, and you can go to cars and vehicles, and you can browse for cars and vehicles. Oh my god, this new thing is in the car sections as well. I don't know why it has included in the cars and vehicles. Okay, so there are not much quality vehicle 3D models as I hope, but I can browse. Oh, look at this model, Subaru BRZ RB kit. Cool. This is a really cool 3D model. as I can see. And there are plenty of 3D models you can browse and to download. You can see there is this download icon, that means you can download it for free. There are plenty of free 3D models you can download from Sketchfab. So I'm going to continue browsing. Oh my god, then I found the one. This is the one. This model is called Dustbowler, and this is really cool. This has some stylized textures and stylized looking, but this is really awesome. This is really awesome. Engine is visible. You don't have any bonnets, and there is this door. You can see there is this very detailed interior. Oh, it has this dust bowl name as well. So it has this awesome cool looking monitor. Cool. Some digital gauges. You can pan the view using mouse middle button. This is really cool, man. Wires on the steering wheel. And this has the look of an American Mustang, right? It's, yeah, it's a modified Mustang. And you can see, hello everyone, just finished my graduate work on XYZ school. I think I have heard of XYZ school. It's a good university, I guess. And here is what I have inspired of. So this is the art piece that he's inspired, and this is exactly the same. I think 3D model has done a good job inspiring this one. He has run, he has done a really great job, and the concept is really cool. I think the Dustbowler name comes from the 3D model and it's called Wheelin. So the Dustbowler name is also very cool. It has already a name. That's really cool. Okay, now let's do a small background check on this before downloading this 3D model. So I can go to the model inspector, and there's this wireframe. Yeah, that is, yep. This is really reasonable wireframe. It doesn't have any high poly parts. It's just low poly. So no problem with the polygon count, but you can also use nanite in Unreal Engine 5. Nanite enables this endless polygon count in your Unreal Engine gaming project. That is what nanite do. So the model is cool, the wireframe. And if you go to textures, there's this base color, right? Metalness, cool. Roughness, really cool. Normal map, it has some details, cool. And ambient occlusion, opacity, you don't have opacities. I don't know if glasses should have this opacity kind of thing, but in the final render, oh yeah, it has some opacity. I don't know why opacity is not shown here. It should have opacity because of the final render. Let's see. So I think this should support PBR method. There's this more model information, 3D formats, FBX is here, import, Blender, Unreal, great. Image formats, PNG, so all the textures are PNG and it can be used in Unreal Engine. You can see the download size, 174 megabytes, geometry, 90K, perfectly reasonable. its PBR metalness. So as in Unreal Engine, 42 textures, materials, blah 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 blah. So we need all the things we need. And it has this CC attribution, Creative Commons. Great. So I'm going to download this 3D model. I think better to sign up on the Sketchfab from my Skulls and Wheels account. So I'm going to sign up. So to I'm back to my 3D model, and I'm here going to download the 3D model, and there is this CC attribution and credit the author, so I can save this link and copy credits later for the game if I use this for the final game, or I just use this for the prototype. Anyhow, there's this original format .fbx, so I'm going to download the fbx file. So the download has started. It's 174. Now I'm going to open up Blender and see what's it like in Blender. So we have this preparation things before going to Unreal Engine, and we are going to prepare this Dustbowler from Unreal Engine. So I have this Dustbowler downloaded zip file. I'm going to extract it here, extract to Dustbowler, and we get the Dustbowler folder. Inside there is the source and textures. If you go to textures, you can see there are 42 items, 42 textures, decals, glass, doors, set, I don't know what's this, salon, wheels. There are a few materials we have to set up. Let's see. And is there this opacity map? I can't see the opacity map. I think it's on glasses. Oh yeah, it's on the opacity. Okay, we have the textures. This is source. We have another zip file. Let's extract on here. Delete this. Okay, another one. Okay, let's cut this. They have duplicated the files, and I'm going to delete this. So this is the 3D model. Now I'm going to open up the Blender and import this out. Here we are in Blender. I use 3.2.1. I'm going to delete this default cube, camera and light. Just press the delete button and you can see there's this file, import fbx. Okay, I found the source and this is the car. Great. So this is how it looks. Right. Now, I have several steps and I have prepared a small guideline for me used to prepare a vehicle for Unreal Engine Chaos vehicle system. So I'll post the summarized shot for you guys later. I have this Lucid Spark platform and I'm going to make this summarized shot in Lucid Spark in a visual way, and you can also download and see this visual aid for preparing for a vehicle. So in the step one, we are in the step one is the importing of the model, and you can file import and import the model. So the step one is completed already. So and then when you import, and if you are new to Blender, you have this viewport navigation thing. So you have to know how to navigate on viewport. So you can just zoom in, zoom out with your mouse scroll wheel, and you can rotate the viewport using mouse middle button and drag it. Hold mouse middle button and drag it, and you can rotate like this. And then there's this pan viewport option. You just have to hold shift and mouse middle drag. So it's that easy. Just mouse middle button, rotation for scrolling up and down for zoom in, zoom out, hold mouse middle button and drag for rotate, and if you just hold shift with this, you can pan the view. So here we have the 3D model, and you can select an object by pressing it. Yeah, you can just hover over the object you want to select and just click left mouse button, and if you want to deselect, you can just click on this empty space, and if you want to select all, you can just press on A, keyboard A, and you can select all. And if you want to deselect all, alt plus A, right, press A to select all, press alt plus A to deselect all, right. So those are the basic controls, and then the step 2 is scene unit setup. So there's this window, and you can see there's this render properties of and view layer properties. These are different property categories, and there is this scene properties you can see. And if you go to units, there's this unit system called metric, so we use metric, and the unit scale is 1. But in Unreal Engine we use centimeters, so centimeters is 100 times smaller than a meter. So we are going to set this unit scale to 0.01, so it makes the whole scene into centimeters. But if you have seen, this grid has changed, so we have to select all the objects that existed in our project, and then hit the S key. Hit the S key for scale. S key for scale, and you can see you can just scale this 3D model, and I'm going to type 100 on my keyboard and just hit enter. Then the scale comes to correct scale with the change of our unit scale. But you can see there's this clipping if you go to far. So I don't want this clipping thing, so I can set it up by going to quick settings. You can open up quick settings by hitting N key, and there is this view option, and there is this clip start and end. So I'm going to give 100 for the end, and you can see the area gets bigger. So I'm going to use this 50. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's enough for our 3D model. And if you rescale an object in Blender, and if you are going to import it to Unreal Engine, you just have to select all or press A key on the keyboard and just press Ctrl and A. Ctrl A. This gives a apply drop down, and you can apply the rotation and scale of all transform. You can apply all the transforms, and then it applies on the object, and then you can see there are layers. There are many different layers, so we will have to merge them because every part is separated. It's a good thing, but yeah. So now I'm going to select this, and there are two doors. Those are separated. Those are not separated, those are joined. So, right. About the wheels, those two are joined. I have to separate those, but join these rim and the wheel, the tire. So before going any further, I am going to join and separate necessarily for this model. For this step, we just need the edit mode. You can see there is this object mode, and if you press on this little arrowhead, you can see there is this edit mode on the drop down. You can just press keyboard tab to switch between edit mode and object mode. So in the object mode, you can work with these objects, object transform, materials and stuff. But if you want to edit these meshes going inside them, you just need the edit mode. You just have to select the object you want to edit and press tab. Then you can see there are vertices, edges, faces. You can modify those. So before going the edit mode, I have to find a way to isolate each these objects. So, so if you are going to isolate the wheels, you just have to click on the wheels and press Shift H. It isolates the wheels, and if you want to frame it, or if you want to focus on only the wheels, you can go to view frame all or frame selected. So frame selected. So I have this half keyboard and I don't have this numpad dot. So I'm just going to alter my key bindings. For this, you can go to Edit, Preferences, and go to Key Bindings. I'm going to search frame, sorry, not frame. I'm going to search the keyboard keys that I'm going to assign for the frame selected, and I'm going to use Alt X, and you can see that I have already assigned the Alt X new keyboard shortcut for the frame selected. And if you want to assign a new keyboard shortcut for your action, you can search in this key binding and look if there are any options that use the same keyboard shortcut for keyboard shortcut. And if you don't find this here, you can just go to name and find frame selected, and it just shows the frame selected in here and frame selected in here. And we don't want to use this frame selected in the dope sheet, we just want to use the frame selected in 3D view. So now I'm going to click on this and press Alt X, and it stores the Alt X is for frame selected 3D view. And now I'm going to close and click on the wheels, Alt X to focus on. I use Alt X because I don't know, Alt X is familiar for me, something when I used in 3D Max. I think it was the transparent mode for objects and something. Just anyhow, I have created my own shortcut for framing objects because I don't have this numpad 1 in frame selected default shortcut. So I have this Alt X, so I have focused on this, and I'm just going to select this and press tab to enable the edit mode. And now I'm going to select this. But if you select like this, you can see the faces in the back are not selected. For this, you have to turn on the wireframe mode. To turn on the wireframe mode, you can press Shift Z. Shift C on the keyboard, and you can get the wireframe mode, and you can select the selection mode. This is vertexes or the vertices, this is edges, and this is faces. I'm going to face mode, and I'm selecting the all faces. And to separate, I just press on P key. Separate the selection. So I am going to use this selection thing, and then it gets separated, And if I go back to the object mode by pressing tab and press shift S to disable the wireframe mode, you can see these are now two different objects. And now I want to de-isolate this. You just have to press Alt H and all comes. So I'm going to do this for all the objects I want to separate. So I'm going to DOS, Shift H to isolate, and go tab, and I'm going to the face option, Shift Z, select this, or before I can use Alt X to frame it, and then I use this selection box to select and just press P selection and just go to object mode, Shift Z to disable wireframe, and then Alt H, back wheels, you can see the back wheels, Shift H to isolate, tab to edit mode, and Alt X to frame, Shift Z to wireframe, select, press P, selection, and it's separated. Go to object mode, disable the wireframe, you get the object. So this is a very straightforward thing to do, and you can see you can do it to separate these options. So now I'm going to separate each of these objects, and I'm going to fast forward this video. Right, so I'm just going to collapse this quick settings by pressing N. Right, it gives us more space, and now I'm going to merge some objects. To merge objects, you can use this object and join feature. It's called Control J. Shortcut for join is Control J. So I'm just going to select the rim and the tire by pressing Shift. You can press Shift and select multiple objects. Pressing Shift, multiple objects, Control J, there gets a whole thing. Same for Shift, Control J, select rim, select tire, Shift, rim, Control J, and likewise. So now I have separated the doors, these two doors, because I want to open the doors in the game. So I separated doors, wheels like this, and now I have bunch of parts in the body. So for the first test, I'm going to have wheels and wheel calipers and brake disc and the doors and the all other as one piece. So now I am going to select all combined measures by pressing Shift, door 1, door 2, wheel 1, 2, and 3, 4, and I'm just going to hide this selection. To do that, I'm going to press Ctrl I to inverse the selection, and then you can press Shift H to isolate this. And now I'm going to select all these, Ctrl J to attach all, and now all these are is one object, but I just want to separate these wheel calipers and brake discs. So I'm going to do is, because I just don't want to separate these brake discs, and I just want these to be separated because when wheel turns, these can get overlapped with the wheel rotation. So I'm going to separate this. So I'm going to select the object, go to edit mode like this, and I just want to select these objects. So I can select one face and hit on Control L. Control L means it selects the linked meshes, linked faces, linked vertices, or something connected. So I'm going to select these. Yes. And I also want, no, I don't want to separate this part. I just want this one. Right. And I'm just going to separate the selection. I'm just going here, select some faces, objects that you want to separate, and select Control L to select linked. Select linked all is shown here. That it notifies you selected. P, enter. Now it's separated. Right. Now these are separated, and I'm going to hide this, hide the body, hide this, and you can see there are these decals, some invisible objects that I didn't see. So now I am going to shift select these all, but I can't see it in, these are in the viewport. I'm going to just, yeah, I'm going to control select these and this and press Control J, and it says no mesh data to join. So this one should join. I can see the mesh, therefore I turn on the visibility to the body and I select the body, Control J, it gets merged, but these, yeah, these have just the names but no mesh data. You can see there's this message called no mesh data. Therefore, I'm going to delete those. You can right click, delete, right. And now I have our paths. So for a summary, the model is really good. I don't know how it's look like when text is applied, but as a summary, the model is really good, but layers breakdown and the layers breakdown or the objects breakdown was not really good because I had to separate and join these objects, and it had some layers but not match data. So I had to remove them. So the model is good, but it had some cleanups. But if you are going to publish a 3D model, I think it should get organized. But this is a free model, I can't blame, and it's a study work, so it's just totally fine, and I'm just really glad for this model. So I'm just not blaming, but I just mentioned. Then I'm going to rename the models. You can rename it. This is the body. You can press F2, body. I can say vehicle body or body something. And this is Yeah, this is the caliper. I can rename caliper, and I just put suffix as FL. That means front left. It's the caliper of front left. And then I go to this and rename it caliper. It's not basically a caliper, it's caliper plus brake disc, but anyhow, I'm just going to rename it caliper for now. And it's called FR front right. And this is the wheel, so I'm going to rename it wheel. So it's rear, so R or back, I can say, yeah, rear right. And this is the door. I'm going to rename it as door, and it's the right one, so the suffix is R. And this is left one, so I'm going to rename it door left. And this is wheel rear, but it's in the left side, so this is the one left, so it's called wheel front. And what is this? Okay, we have another wheel front right. Great. So now we have the body, two calipers, left and right, and all, and both are in the front. We have two doors, left and right, and we have these wheels, rear two, front two, left and right, left and right. So I'm just going to save it. Control S. I'm just going to rename it version 0.1 preparation. Just going to Dustbowler and preparation and V 0.1. And now I'm going to save the Blender file. Right, it shows the notification it has saved. Right, now the next step is to set up the origins and stuff, but before that we have to scale the vehicle for its actual size on the world. So Unreal uses centimeters, so we have set up the scene units, but we need to scale these for its real size. So we have to refer some, yeah, we need some real car to refer. So here I got the perfect match for the our dust bowl, and it's 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429, and you can see that the front body is the exact same as the dust bowl. So we are referring to Ford Mustang Boss 429 in 69 to our dust bowler, and we can see that there are a few photos, and I can see that, right? Yep. And there's this details, and in details we can go to this wheelbase. This wheelbase. The space between the two wheel hubs is called as wheelbase in automobiles, and it's 2743 millimeters, and that means 2.7 meters. 2.7 meters. So the wheelbase should be 2.7 meters for this car, and we can go back to our model and see what's the current wheelbase. And now we are in Blender, and there is this gizmo, and you can see that there is this X icon, and if I click on the X icon, you can see that the right orthographic view comes. And I'm going to frame this and zoom it, and in the tools menu, quick tools menu, you can enable quick tools menu with shortcut key T. If you press T, it goes and it comes. And there is this measure tool. We can click on it, and this is the wheelbase from this point to this point. So we are going to measure the wheelbase, and then I can left click and hold, and you can see that 2.71. So it's almost 2.7 meters. It's exactly 2.7 meters, and it's a perfect match for the Ford Mustang 429 1969. So the size of the car is already adjusted, so we don't need anything to do. So if you have a different scale, you can calculate the ratio to be changed, and you can use scale tool and type scale factor and hit enter to scale this, right? And we can press X to remove the measure tool, and then our scale is fine. Now what we have to do, now we are going to set up the origins. Set up the origins for the car. To set up the origins, I'll use first this wheel and this caliper. Right. So I'm going to select this wheel, Shift H to isolate, and I will need the caliper front FL. I think I have some mistake here. This is front. Okay. This should be front left. This should be front R. Right. This should be the sorry. Yes, it should be the right one. Right, this should be the left one. FL. Let's just rename it. Okay. This is left, this is right, this is left, this is right. Okay. And I'm going to hide this. Now we have these two, and then I'm going to Alt X, click on Alt X and go to the edit mode, and you can see that this is the origin point. This is the point where this wheel should rotate with the brake caliper and disc. So I'm going to use this vertex selection mode and use this vertex, and I'm just click right, and I'm going to snap vertices, cursor to world, cursor to selected, and now our 3D cursor comes to the vertex location that we have selected. So what is this 3D cursor? This 3D cursor acts as the spawning point for new objects, and it can be used as a reference for pivoting. So now we are going to exit the edit mode by pressing on tab, and then when selected this caliper and wheel, we are going to click right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and I'm going to do the same thing for this caliper. Set origin to 3D cursor. And now if we are going to move this, you can see that this is the origin point. Now if we are going to rotate this, you can see that this is how the wheel rotates now in the car. Right. And then I'm going to press the Alt H, select this one, and the caliper, front left, right. I'm going to isolate this, Shift H, and then I'm going to the edit mode, click on the caliper, go to the edit mode, vertex selection, select these vertices, right click, snap vertices, cursor to selected, and now the 3D cursor comes to this new point. Exit the edit mode, right click, set origin to 3D cursor, same for the wheel, set origin to 3D cursor. Great. And now I'm going to de-isolate it, go for back wheels, and you can see that if you select the body and isolate, this is the point to set up the pivot or origin for the rear wheels. So now I'm going to get the edit mode, and now we don't have this, so I can't focus on this one, so I'm going to just select a face and press Alt X to frame it, and now you can see that there is no point in the center of this plate. For this case, I'm going to select this edge mode. I can select the edges. Right. You can see one edge, another edge. With control selected, you can select all the edges, right, like here, and you can just get these vertices by pressing this vertex icon with shift key. Now I'm going to right click, snap vertices, cursor to selected. Now it finds the center of the all vertices and all faces that we have selected. We can use faces or edges or vertices, and it will detect the center of all the selection. And I'm going to rear wheels, front right, front L, and exit the edit mode, right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and same for the other side. Go to edit mode. I'm going to select the faces likewise, and yes, I'm going to shift and select this vertex icon, right click, snap vertices, cursor to selected, and then it finds the center, and then exit the edit mode. I get the wheel, right click, set origin to 3D cursor. Now it's right. Now I'm going to do this for the doors. What's the pivot point of the doors? The center of this distance, and I'm going to edit mode, and then I'm going to select I'm going to frame it, and I'm going to select the faces with shift key, and I'm going to select these faces with shift key, and I'm going to switch the selection mode to vertex, and then right click. I don't get the vertex. Then I'm going to select the vertex again, right click, snap vertices, cursor to selected, and then it finds the center of this length. And now disable edit mode, right click, origin to 3D cursor, and now I can rotate the door around this, right. And for the other door, we select it, frame it, and go to the edit mode. I'm just going to use the face, right, and I'm going for the other half, shift for using for selecting multiple objects, and then shift vertex. Now we have the vertexes of the face, and right click, snap vertices, cursor to selected, is the middle point, right click, origin to 3D cursor, right. Now for the body, yes, now for the body, I'm going to get the quick tools, and there is this item and tool view. Yes, there's this 3D cursor options, and I'm going to zero out this 3D cursor location, and now it's on the 000 point, which is the origin for the blender space. And now I'm going to the body, right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and all the pivot points are now ready. And you can see that if I select this one, it has this, right. All the pivot points are now correct. Now, right. Now we are going to rig our car. But before that, I have noticed that if you go to the X1, you can see that the wheels has different sizes, and this wheel is below the ground, and this is on the ground, this is below the ground. So I have to rotate this one. So I am going to select all and get the rotation tool, and I'm going to rotate this a bit, right. And now it seems like they are on the same level. Select, move, and you can move it bit upward, right. Now it's on the ground. With that, I hope the pivot point of the or the origin of the body has changed. If you can see in the quick settings, you can see that If we go to the item, location has changed. Therefore, I'm going to right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and it becomes 0 again. Right. And then before rig, we can use this rotation thing as well. If we go to the perspective view, you can see that this is the X forward, this is the X forward, this is the X backward, and this is Y forward. No, this is the Y forward and this is Y backward. Y forward, X forward, Z forward, these are the negative values. Negative X, negative Y, negative Z. And Unreal Engine prefers that if your model faces the X positive direction or the X forward. Therefore, I'm going to select the object, select the car, and click R on the keyboard to rotate, and you can press Shift Z to rotate on the Z axis, and I'm going to type 90, and you can see that now our car has rotated to X forward direction, and now I can hit enter. Now it's on there, but you can see that now the car is not on the origin. Therefore, we have to reposition this. But before that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to rig this car. I'm going to rig this one. How you do the rigging is, you can just select the child first, and with shift key select the parent, and you can link with control P shortcut and set parent to object. And then you can see that we have this wheel and we have this body. If you move the body, the wheel follows, because the parent is the body and this is a child. So those two are linked. It's like they have some bones attached. This can be done only for hard surface objects, and if you have character, you have to do rigging with bones. And now select the wheel, shift select the body, and control P object, select the door, select the body, control P object, select the door, select the body, control P object, select the wheel, body, control P, select the wheel, body, control P, and we need those calipers, right? Select the caliper, it also parents to the body, control P, select the caliper, it also goes with the body, control P, eject, right. And now you can see there is this one body, and if you expand this, you can see there is this caliper door all up as childs for that body. Now if you move the body, I can get the quick settings, and if I reset the location to 0 0 0, now the car is on center. And we used rotation, and since I changed the rotation of the car, I'm going to apply it, control A, rotation and scale. Don't go for all transform, because it destroys the pivot points that we have adjusted. So press Ctrl A and set the rotation and scale. And now we have the Dustbowler prepared for Unreal Engine. So as a summary, our step was the import the model, and there was this viewport navigation and the object selection, and as steps 2 we set up our scene units to match with the Unreal Engine, which is centimeters. And then as the step 3 we did the model scaling, and we prepared our models by attaching the separated parts and stuff. So that was the step 3. So model scale with the wheelbase, and we referred to a real world vehicle that matches the car. And then we have this model orientation for the X forward direction, which Unreal prefers to model to be. And then we renamed our layers, and we set our pivot points for the different objects. We have basically 7 parts: the body, 4 wheels, and 2 doors. And then we got the rigging part by linking childs to parents, and then now we are going to export this into Unreal Engine. So it took about 1 hour, but yeah, it's fairly a simple process. If you are not familiar with Blender and this is your first time, I think this is not much hard to work with. I have given you the basic shortcuts, and it's really simple process, and we can do some advanced rigging for interior parts, steering wheels, and more other things with cars later. So for the prototype, I'm going to ready this vehicle just for driving and opening doors for testing purposes. And once we get the tests, and once we satisfied with the tests, and once we get to learn about the chaos vehicle physics system and Unreal Engine ecosystem for this vehicle system, we can go for further options like the destructions and deformations in Matrix Awakens demo. So that's the plan. So now our vehicle is ready, transformations and scales and rotations are applied. Now we just have to select the car, and then I'm going to save the project first, and then you can go to file, export, and I'm going to export it as an FBX because Unreal prefers the FBX file format. And then I'm going to rename this Dustbowler version 0.1, and I'm going to limit to selected objects, and there's this mesh object type, and then we have the scale. So scale is 1, don't change that. And there is this forward, so forward is X forward and up is Z up. That's the unit system or the coordinate set for Unreal Engine. And there is this smoothing normals only, we can use face, and yes, those are the settings to be adjusted. So now I'm going to the name, and I'm going to rename it as SKM. It's a prefix. So I have given this a prefix of SKM, which means it's a skeletal mesh. So Unreal Engine has two mesh types. First one is static mesh and the skeletal mesh. So static meshes are static meshes which do not have a bone system or any moving animation system. Skeletal meshes are, it has a skeleton or bone system that can be animated like a character. When we link our sub objects to the body, we did the rigging part. So now it has a bone system, but we can't see it in the Blender because it just links sub bodies to main body, but in Unreal Engine you will see a skeleton that automatically prepared with the data of these linked items. We will see in that in next tutorial. And now I have this skeleton mesh or skm prefix for that purpose, and then I'm going to export it as a FBX. So you don't need to have a skm prefix, but it's the standard naming convention for these kind of assets. I think you should probably be familiar with and practice it, because when you are in content browser in Unreal Engine, it makes really easy to find files and do the coding stuff, finding references and for many things, right? So I'm going to FBX export. Now our work is done for the preparation of Dustbowler. And now we are going to Unreal Engine and import the model and prepare for the chaos vehicle system. I hope you got some summarized knowledge for vehicle preparation, because I have watched many tutorials that they uses different methods to export a vehicle to Unreal Engine, and I get this summarized version for myself, and I did this with all these summarized knowledge. So I'm going to do a Lucid Spark summarized short version for you guys for as a guideline, and I will give you it on the next development diary episode part 2. Then let's meet on the next video. Thank you all for staying. Have a good day.